So I did a live stream yesterday, for those of you who didn't notice, and I just redid my whole analysis in my yesterday's live stream. So I think it's not a bad idea if anyone just wants to get all the levels and stuff. Just go into my channel. Oh, is that the wrong one? Yep. Oh. And I've cut it into a video here. BTC higher time frame analysis, everything looks bullish. Okay. On the most part, ignore the titles. They're just kind of trying to capture the audience. Just focus on the content. I'm not really giving bias, but it's a good to look at the video because I give all of the levels of support and resistance. I break it down, okay, and I just give all the numbers. I go through the whole charts, and I did that the whole thing last night, and then in the end of that video I come up with some trade ideas. Obviously this one, which was a local time frame, didn't react, and so when it comes to trading, it's always about the reaction. That one didn't react, that one didn't work either. And the concept is to create trade plans or trading ideas. And then if the price action matches your idea, then you'll take the trade. And if it doesn't, it doesn't matter. And so I think that video would be a good one just to get all the kind of different levels marked down, if anyone's interested, to see where the key levels are. But fundamentally, when it comes to trading, it's always, you always have to wait for some kind of reaction. You never take the trades willy-nilly. And if there's no reaction, like for example, look, this is yesterday's price action last night, and I had this idea for a local long here, and as you can clearly see, as the price came through this local trend line, no reaction. See there, there's no reaction. Okay, so when there's no reaction, you don't take the trade at all, you wait. And there was literally no reaction, so there was no trade to be had. And so to all intents purposes, you can just delete that idea and move on. Okay, it's not a big deal, just move on. Okay, I had an SFP short idea, which is very simple, but looking at the charts in hindsight, what I'm looking at is this was the actual short on this pivot here. I took that short, I was stopped out. And actually the problem is that if you take tight invalidations, you can get stopped out the second time and a third time and a fourth time. And if you look at the price action here, how many times were shorts liquidated as the price moved up in yesterday's movement? You see, there's one liquidation here, there's another one here, there's another one here, and there's another one here, and then this local one here. It's like five shorts stopped out with tight invalidations until finally you had a breakdown. Okay, and it's yesterday I actually took 3 shorts. The positions that I took were significantly less than I would, because I knew that this was happening, and by the time the price did break down, I was asleep. So that's just trading. It just happens. It's not unusual for you to be right, for someone to be right, and yet the price to move when they're asleep, or to finally miss the last entrance. And so it's good to look at the previous price action and to look at what could have been improved, and possibly, you know, having an invalidation up here would have been the best strategy. It looked like it was going up, but in hindsight is always 2020. When you look at the short, it was probably that. from this SFP, wide invalidation to the top, and that's your trade probably. Yeah, so even though you can have a tight invalidation, but you risk getting stopped out, but you have a higher ROI, and that's why people have tight invalidations, because they're willing to be stopped out, but then when the price moves, they suddenly make a ton of money in that move. So it all depends on your risk versus reward strategy, and whether you're going for a high risk, high reward, or maybe slightly lower risk, but you're just waiting for you have a better, wider invalidation. So what am I thinking now? Well, I mean, it's basically the same as what I was saying in my video yesterday. The charts look off the chart bullish, off the charts bullish. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that this pullback wasn't expected. It was very much it was expected. Yeah. Why would there not be a pullback? If you look at the 3-month candle, the last 3-month candle which printed, this was at the end of December, and it opened in January. Yeah, there was a pullback. And how far was the pullback from the candle open to close to open? There was a almost 9% pullback on that candle. Okay, why would there not be a pullback? This is the most extreme bullish scenario here. Even in the most extreme bullish scenario, you still had a 3.5% pullback. This one, you had a 2% pullback. This is the only one that you didn't have a pullback. It just went straight up. So I think a pullback was expected. Now the question is going to be how far. Okay, I think it's a question on everyone's mind, and I'm not thinking that far, to be honest with you. Don't think that this is now going to go to the floor. I think that would be a mistake for people to have that idea. It may go to the floor, but I just don't think it is. And the reason why I don't think it is because we've printed a brand new weekly level here. Do you see that? This is a weekly level. I marked it off yesterday. Okay. We're into right now the previous all-time high. For all intents and purposes, if this previous all-time high holds a support, then we're not going lower. It's really that simple. As long as this holds a support, we're not going lower. And if we go lower, we have this weekly level, which I think is extremely strong. The reason why I think it's extremely strong is because we have a lot of important levels at that level. So let me just identify, or let me just show you what I'm talking about. So that's the long that I'm thinking of. So we have a weekly level at that long area. So let me just bring it back up. That's it there. So we have an untapped weekly level there. And then what's really important is this point of control. This point of control on this whole range. I think that's really important. So we've lost this, we're losing this local volume range. Now we haven't lost it yet. As you can see, if I zoom in, okay, don't get too bearish. And it does look like a head and shoulders pattern. Everyone can see that. But don't get overly bearish just because we've lost the value area, or we're about to lose the value area. And if I do a range pull here, volume range pull here, let me just have a look at the volume and see if there's any significant. Let me go to the hourly chart. Let me see if it's changed much. Not much, a little bit higher on the value area. lower on the value area, lower and higher. So it's slightly wider value area. For all intents purposes, there's no change. We're just at the bottom of this range. If you look at the range, you see that we're at the bottom of the range. It looks like a head and shoulders, but not really. I don't know. I don't think so. It's not a clean head. It's not like what you would expect with a head and shoulders. I think the right shoulder's too high, to be honest with you. It's not looking bearish in that sense. For me, it just looks like we're in the range. And yesterday's stream, I just said, you know, we're basically in the range. And if you see how the price has moved, it's gone from top to bottom to top to bottom to top to bottom. That's what's happening. There's no reason to think that this isn't now going to go back to the top. But effectively what's happening is that the price is ranging and it's range bound. Now, that doesn't mean the price isn't going to go lower. And actually, I wouldn't mind if it goes lower, because that would be a really amazing entry for a long. So I have this long idea here. It's at this weekly level, which is also at the overall range point of control. And if I do a volume pool in the overall range now, just to see if the volumes changed at all. I don't think it has, but okay, so the value area low is slightly higher. The point of control slightly lower, doesn't really make any difference. Value area high is slightly higher. It's not really nothing to write home about. Yeah, I think that would be good. Look at that. And then, of course, it lines up with a fib. It won't be the golden pocket. It will line up with some kind of the 382 of this whole move. So you've got a weekly level, you've got a point of control, you've got the 382. I don't see why it wouldn't react off the 382. Slightly lower, you also have this naked monthly point of control and naked daily point of control. So you have a lot of confluence in this kind of area. You could have a slightly wider invalidation, and I don't see why the price can't find support here. Okay, the question which I was asking yesterday is, do you get enough of a reaction to lose this previous all-time high? If we lose it, let's just say for the sake of argument, we kind of have a weak reaction here and we lose it. If you have a reaction here to go up, can you get back in, or do you get rejected? That's the question, really. Is there enough of a buy up in this area to push the price back into that range? If that was to happen, that would be extremely bullish, because you're losing a higher range, you're getting rejection from a key support level, and then you're finding acceptance back into that range. That's going to be an extremely powerful bullish reaction if the price were to drop. Or if you get a big reaction if we go down and the price finds resistance off this previous all-time high, then that's not going to look as bullish as one might imagine. We might still be looking for another test, or maybe look, and I think probably another test would be more likely than not. It may happen like this. This correction could be much deeper than people imagine. This drop, you still go up. You still go up to back test this previous all-time high, find resistance, and you just come back to test it one more time. Yeah, that's also possible, where you just kind of finding support over a slightly longer period, and then you still get bought up. And the key to knowing how strong this is is getting back into this upper range, getting back above this previous bull market all-time high. Okay, that's how you know, right? And no one can predict how the price is going to react or move. But I do think that this level here is probably going to show a really strong reaction if the price comes down into this area. I think that'll be a really amazing opportunity to buy. I'm not thinking lower right now. I don't see why I should be thinking lower when we haven't even lost this level of area of support. And I don't even know if we're going to go down. Like, I can't at the moment. I don't really see that. I just see that we're in a range. We're above the previous bull market all-time high. We've clearly come into some kind of previous support level. We're holding support. If we get back into the value area, we're probably heading back up to the value area high, probably. Yeah, that's probably what's happening right now. It looks bearish, but I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that bearish at all. I don't think it's bearish at all. It doesn't look bearish to me. But I'm looking for this. This is the real golden opportunity, and it's worth setting an alert. And if it does present itself, it's worth taking that. It's worth going for it. That would be really amazing opportunity. If for some unknown reason we don't find support there, and it's always possible, you know, just because there's a lot of support there, it's always possible that we don't find support. Then I think it would start to look really bearish. If we can't find support here, I think there'd be something very wrong. Yeah. I think there'd be something very wrong, actually. And it could be anything. No one knows the why. It would be very weird. So if for some reason we don't really find support, flip it into resistance, then you're probably heading down to this value area low. That's probably where you're heading. Okay, so that's probably the next area of interest. That will be the golden pocket. So you've got two areas of interest, and in between I wouldn't even bother. This is the main one, but the next one would be lower, and that would probably be your next great trade, right back up to the point of control like that. This is a big if. I'm not like saying this is going to happen, but if it did, that's where you would look to long. This is the value area low. It's at a naked weekly point of control, and there's a daily level there. So you've got quite enough confluence of levels to have a high probability trade for a reaction of that area of interest. Okay, if for some reason we're going lower, okay, then basically my harmonic's in play. Okay, although timing wise I think we really need to get down quicker, but I mean, you never know. This D, I mean, could this D be a little bit more extended? Yeah, it could be a little bit more like that. So this is a big if. The only way we get down here is if we lose this area of interest. No, let me correct myself. If we lose the previous bull market all-time high, if we lose the range point of control, and if we lose the value area low, I think the chances of this playing out are 1,000,000 to 1. Like, I don't even think it's going to happen. I've got it just in case it does, but I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not really taking it seriously at all. If for some reason it did happen, I wouldn't get bearish because I have a bullish harmonic that's in play, and if it completes on time, I would still be bullish. It would just mean that we had a much deeper correction, but I don't think this is going to happen. I think it'd be very weird for that to happen. I've got it just for the sake of, if it happens. And in my mind, I'm thinking that would literally, I'm thinking that would be a black swan type event, actually. You'd happily range, it'd be like this, happily ranging around to this like fib level, I don't know which one. Then suddenly you had this kind of crazy news, I don't know, something happens in the world. You get like one crazy sell-off, hits your level, and a massive buyback, and you just get a really big wick down into that harmonic. That's what I'm imagining would complete this harmonic. It would go down through your levels and it would just be brought right back and it would complete the harmonic. That's the only contemplation of what I think could complete this harmonic in the context of the support levels that are in between. So that's, I'm not actually thinking this is going to happen, but if there was a black swan, that would be the place to buy. Take out the liquidity from this wick. Yeah. As you SFP it. 100x, leverage long. Let's go. That's what I'm going to do. Risk $500 on 100x leverage there. I'll totally do that. Of course I would. On a swing failure entry, I'll totally do that. Because I have a plan. Yeah, I have a plan for that. It'd be worth the risk. The reward would be off the charts because you're expecting that to be your major pivot. I'm not expecting this to happen. I think if there was a black swan, that's what would happen. Because I think it'd be very difficult to lose support levels just like that. You would need a crazy flush, which would be a reaction to some kind of macro event. Good morning, Sebastian. How are you doing? So I'm not expecting this at all, but I mean, I have it just in case, okay? I don't know if it's going to happen on any of these fib times, but you know, these harmonics, they're not 100%. They're rough. When it comes to Bitcoin, they're rough. You kind of want it to be on a harmonic timing. I would prefer it like here somewhere, but just have to see how that plays out. And this would not be valid if the C is taken out, if we go up. So the only reason why I'm still thinking about this is because we haven't taken out the C. The trade isn't the C, the trade is the D if it comes in on time, all right? And the only way that this would play out in my mind is some sort of a black swan. People would then be going, oh, I told you so, or oh, I knew it, or some kind of bullshit like that. Every time before the Bitcoin halving, there's some kind of black swan event. And the hard part is having a trade plan for that and good areas to accumulate. That would be a 16% correction instantly. But technically the entry would be, you wouldn't just want to catch a falling knife. As soon as you swing level this point, you could just take that trade. It'd be hard to do. You'd have to have guts of steel. But if you're going to go down really fast through these key support levels, I don't see why we wouldn't go up really fast too. It would be a massive buyback. Okay. And then sometimes what could happen, and then I've seen this before, and this is a big if, I don't think this is going to happen. So I'm just planning for the future, that's all, just in case. If, like that. Because you got like strong levels in between. Like you got one there, one here. If you slice through those levels like Swiss cheese, like a hot knife to butter, it'd have to be a fast liquidation flush. Yeah, it'd have to be something like that. It'd be very scary for a lot of people. It goes down as soon as the price comes up. You'd have to take that long. The chances of us going up fast are very high. You'd have a very high probability chance. If we go down really fast, you'd have a very high probability of chance of going up really fast too. And then all you end up with on a higher time frame is a nice small body with a massive wick with a really massive volume. And most people will be like kicking themselves for why they didn't take the long. And that's what I'm thinking. The chances of that happening are low. But if it does happen, that's where you would take the long, right? Otherwise, forget about it. We haven't lost support now. We're still above the previous bull market all-time high. We're still in this range. And as long as we don't lose this kind of range, we could range here for a while. And then see what happens. Probably, if we hold support here, we continue to hold support, I expect the price will go up. I don't expect... This isn't bearish consolidation. The direction of travel is up. This is consolidation underneath resistance, holding a reclaimed level of support. That's what this is. This is bullish consolidation, okay? This isn't bearish consolidation. So as long as it continues, then I expect the price to go up. I'm not expecting the price to drop. I think for the price to drop, you would want it to happen now relatively soonish. You know, we've had a little bit of a sell-off, increasing volume. The question now is there continuation for lower prices? Yeah. If there isn't, then we're just still in the range. So now is a good opportunity for bears to push the price down. We are into a daily level now. You can see that. And if we do go lower, then you're going straight into a weekly level and a weekly order block. And we're already in the weekly red candle. So there's a shit ton of support. I'm not very bearish. I'm very bullish. I'm mega bullish. I just think it's an opportunity now in this month to accumulate as much crypto as possible. You know, if people want to play it safe, then Bitcoin would be the one. But you know, when I look at higher time frame, we had a really powerful close above the previous bull market all-time high on the monthly time frame. This candle is a continuation candle on the monthly time frame. It's not a topping candle. Yeah, it's a nice wide body. You've got the wicks pretty much even on both sides. That's not the end. That's not the top. That's my point. Top wouldn't look like that. Even if we end up with a red candle now, it still wouldn't be the top, just simply because we have a lot of room to get back down to this previous level. Even if this red candle ended down here for the next month, it would still be fine. You know, even if this candle went all the way down here and ended up with some kind of red hammer closing above 50%, I think it would still be fine. Just in itself, I'm not seeing a topping pattern yet. And I think when you're looking at Bitcoin, look at the tops. Yeah, study the tops. These are the monthly tops, and you had a swing failure of both of the highs on those tops. You didn't have a swing failure here, but we had a really overextended selling tail. It was much more extended, further extended than the buying tail. It wasn't balanced. It was very bearish. And in any case, you had a confirmation candle. You had two confirmation candles that showed really strong selling pressure in the highs. These all, it gave you an indication. I'm not seeing a top here, so I wouldn't get worried. You know, we look at the 3-month candles. That's also a really powerful bullish candle. Get a little bit pullback. That's normal. All right. Any questions? If you're interested, I did a video on the USDT yesterday. Just going, it's not a long video. I think it's worth watching if you want. It's only 18 minutes, but basically I did it live. But I'll kind of go over the highlights now. What we're seeing on the USDT chart, the USDT chart, it is a bump and run. We're in a bump and run right now to the downside. So the bump and run is a reversal pattern, and we've confirmed the run. We're in the run right now. Okay. This is the bump and run. I went over it yesterday. See, look, bump and run reversal. So if you look at this trend line, we have the lead in. This is the lead in. This is the lead in. You see that? That's from here to here. This is the lead in. Then you have this much steeper trend line. That's called the bump. That's the bump. Then you lose the bump trend line. And as you lose the main trend line, and here not only have we lost it, we've back tested it. That's when the run begins. See that? So we've only really just started the bump and run on a higher time frame, going back all the way through to February 18 on USDT dominance. And my target is the value area low, because we've lost the volume area as support. We're back in the volume area. And when I think about this pattern, I don't necessarily think that we're just going to stop at any one of these areas of interest. Like the point of control would be a very important area of interest, but really I'm thinking to myself, you're back in the value area, you've lost the value area high. We might find support temporarily, but why don't we head to the lows into the golden pocket? That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking actually it will be good to see the timing of when USDTD comes in to the value area low. And then the question then is, what happens next? Do we kind of flag for a breakdown just to make one final push to get down to where this trend began? And in my mind, that would be perfect, because if you look at this idea, it basically, the price gets all the way back to where the trend begins. And in my imagination, when I'm looking at the charts, I'm thinking that this is where the trend begins, at about 0.52%. It'd be very difficult to lose the value area just like that. So I think we need to kind of do something to lose it. And then the question is, do you just lose it and drop and then come back up? Or do you get some kind of failed auction like that, you know? So a bit of a deviation from the range, but you don't really lose it. I would prefer something like this. This would, in my mind, if this is timed correctly, and obviously the timings here are incorrect because I've got it on June 27. This is all incorrect, the timings. I'd be looking for a much steeper descent. This is just an idea of price action, but obviously I'm thinking much steeper. Just the time, it has the time right with Bitcoin. Yeah, this is all timed with Bitcoin, so don't take the timings literally. I'm just thinking about the movement. Okay, if I think that if it's timed right with Bitcoin, you could, and if you do have a consolidation above this value area low and then you lose it, I think it's very possible that we have some kind of sell-off, which will go into Bitcoin, which will end up with a blow-off top on Bitcoin. And so if we do lose that area of interest, I will be looking to complete this pattern. And that will be my exit. Yeah. So I'll be using this as confluence for confirmation for scaling out of crypto towards the right time at the end of the Bitcoin bull market. Yeah. I'm not just going to be stupid. And as USDTD comes into major levels of support, probably at the value area low, and just think to myself, well, this is going to go lower. That's pretty much gambling. Be a lot safer than say, well, this is a major take profit for me. USDTT has come into support. Sure, it might go lower, but this is a good place on the higher time frame to take profit. You know, that would be a good place if we do get that. And also I think the point of control would be a good place too. I don't see why you wouldn't take profit in point of control. You could get a really nice pullback, and then you could compound your profit on the higher time frame back into crypto as the USDT comes to a higher level to find resistance if there's a pullback. The other thing you can do with USDT is really easy, is just do like a higher time frame fib pull. You see that the levels kind of coincide. Yeah, the 236 is lining up with the value area high, the 382 is lining up with this high volume node, the 50% is lining up with the point of control, the value area low is lining up with the golden pocket, and then these lower levels are in empty space. And I'm not thinking that we're going lower than 0.52%. That wouldn't, in my mind, that doesn't make sense because of this bump and run pattern. Okay, so it's definitely a good idea to keep an eye on this. I will be keeping an eye on this, and this is what I have in mind. But I did an analysis on this, but I mean, this is a little bit of an update just in case you missed that.